Hey guys, welcome back to the BuzWeaver channel, and in our top stories today from the Los Angeles Times, Scott Adams says he was using hyperbole. America being programmed to see race first. Now, if you're new to the channel, what we do here, ladies and gentlemen, is we take the difficult, we take the complicated, we take the tumult, we take the confusion. We also take the legacy media's framing and, of course, their desire to tell everyone what opinions and thoughts to have. And so I wanted to cover this story because I am a huge Dilbert fan, a huge fan of Scott Adams. If you guys aren't familiar with Dilbert or the cartoon, Dilbert is an American comic strip written and illustrated by Scott Adams. First published on April 16, 1989, it is known for its satirical office humor about a white-collar micromanaged office with engineer Dilbert as the title character. And I've always been a huge fan of it because, of course, being a cynical, sarcastic person, I thought that his humor was dead on with the methodologies and philosophies, right, that offices had during that time, and even today, which I find often humorous to kind of mock and ridicule. But nonetheless, Dilbert cartoonist Scott Adams says there is a familiar storyline behind the wave of consequences that hit him over the weekend after he made remarks that some people and companies, including the Los Angeles Times, deemed racist. Well, here we go, Los Angeles Times injecting themselves into the own story to be part of that very virtuous group who don't engage in any of this sort of nonsense at all, the Los Angeles Times. Adams was axed by newspapers, his syndicate, and his book publisher. The cartoonist said Monday on his podcast, Coffee with Scott Adams, that he was using hyperbole, meaning an exaggeration. There you go, ladies and gentlemen, right there. The Los Angeles Times having to define hyperbole for us because, of course, who's going to know what hyperbole means if it isn't for the Los Angeles Times telling us what it is? He said the stories that reported his comments pulled a trick. I don't entirely agree with that. I am going to link this video down below, or I'm going to link the article down below so you guys can see exactly what he said because I can't or won't repeat it here on the channel. The trick is just to use my quote and to ignore the context, which I hopefully added afterwards, he said. But he said that nobody would disagree with his two main points, which were treat all individuals as individuals, no discrimination, and avoid anything that statistically looks like a bad idea for your person. For you personally. He also disavowed racist. Now, that comment from him would have been the way he should have addressed the issue. But as I said, I will link it here, and you guys can read it for yourselves because I don't know if it's hyperbole. I mean, he is a very gifted writer. He is amazing. I've always respected his work. Don't always agree with him politically, but the comic strip Dilbert was dropped by a number of newspapers, including the Times. Of course, they had to inject themselves yet again. Shortly after Adams made the comments. On Sunday, his syndicate, which provided Dilbert to all outlets, which provided Dilbert to all outlets that published the comic, dropped him as a client entirely, and Penguin Random House on Monday nixed publications of his book, Reframe Your Brain, which would have come out in September. Now, it's interesting how they like to write these things. Now, I know that as a writer, or writers like to be clever and creative with the way they express things. So there you go. But nonetheless, so Dilbert has been basically canceled by wokeness. Now, I don't entirely agree with what he said and the way he said it. I mean, I understand it for the purposes of describing something when it came to the Pew Research. So make sure you guys definitely check out what he was saying within its context. But at the same time, we just live in a time where you just can't say what he did. And the guy's been doing this cartoon now for 34 years. I like his post on Twitter. I think he's very creative. He's very clever. And he painted himself into a corner, and now he can't get himself out. Now, if this had been the opposite, say, for example, if this had been someone on the left or a progressive or a Democrat had done something similar, which a lot of times they do, they would be given far more benefits of the doubt and probably able to go on a number of talk shows and make the TV circuit across all of mainstream media explaining to everyone what they had done because everyone must have misunderstood what was actually said. As we saw with many other celebrities, as we do often with Goldberg being one of them in particular. not to mention some of the Democrats that we often see. But nonetheless, guys, I just thought it was a fascinating outline of how someone who claims to be left of Bernie Sanders, being a leftist, being part of the progressive. Well, he's not a progressive. He's left of Bernie. However, that's defined because, Bernie is Bernie. He's basically a socialist. Bernie is. So here we have a progressive socialist, perhaps, and now he's been canceled by wokeness because, of course, a statement he was trying to say within the context of a Pew Research, during Pew Research. But definitely check it out and see it. Thank you guys for the likes, the shares, and the comments as we are pushing through a difficult time here on the channel. If you guys weren't aware, the channel here has been demonetized by YouTube. That's probably due to when we were doing clips. Of course, we went from being non-monetized to monetized, and I didn't reverse a lot of the stuff, so that created a problem, but we're going to get that fixed. Hopefully, I can reapply for a partnership here soon. So thank you guys for your continued support. I will continue to make shorts, though, nonetheless. But that's what I have for you guys in this particular segment. And of course, appearing there on the screen, that would be the channel icon. You guys can click on that to subscribe, which I appreciate, as well as notifications. That way you know when there's content here on the channel. And I'll see all you guys in the next video.